This car. No, it's ends of sentences have words. Whenever you did a whole video, but we dubbed over it with a rap to it. Explain it. We just, I don't know. See, that sounds like a fun idea. Except for I've got no musical talent in any way. Boom, 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 yum, 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 yum. A boom, a boom, a boom, a boom, ba, a boom, ba, a boom, ba. I like my little boom, ba. I got 4 apples. It is Christmas time. Christmas time is here. Christmas.
Trash.
No, you're trash.
Trash. Trash.
My family is small. Just myself, my youngest
Trash.
sister, and Alma. She's been raising us alone since our father died of cancer.
Trash.
My sister is too young to remember. But I remember
Says the man whose picture is an Xbox controller. Talk to me when you don't have an Xbox controller as your profile picture.
she needs a hug. I sometimes wonder if we're cursed. Of course.
Fortnite
Can't
kid
just
alert.
come by a free hug.
Fortnite kid.
And that's why I signed
Nah.
up for the race. If I could win, I
We
could
play
give my
other
money to
games.
the
I just don't upload other games.
I could save
So in terms of YouTube, yes, I am the
I could save
Fortnite
both
kid.
myself and my sister the
In terms of in general, I don't know about that.
I didn't
That's
care
a
about
stretch.
the fight that many people use the race as an excuse for.
Fortnite kid alert.
Nah. What are you talking about?
Fortnite kid alert. Fortnite kid alert. Emoji loudspeaker, emoji loudspeaker, emoji loudspeaker, emoji loudspeaker, emoji loudspeaker.
Oh my god, I am so bad. I don't want to talk about it, eh? Boom. Boom. No! I accidentally dropped my AR. I don't want to talk about it.
Alright in the go watch laser beam on Dreams SMP.
I know, I was actually just on that stream, but I turned it off. What is he even doing? He's mining for netherite. At least last I checked, he was. Whoa! Booga, chill.
I disliked by the way smile.
Okay. I get you don't like Fortnite, but... Seriously? No! Oh no, it's a bad player. Uh-oh. Not so bad player alert. Whoa, chill. Owie! That hurt.
For details on how to get in type. Opens creative. Hello.
Hello. Hello, Keverts. Do I say your name right? Is it Keverts? Keverts? What is it? I swear I say it different every time. I'm all I am if I mispronounce it. I'm kind of illiterate. Not really, but...
Yeah.
My bad, dude. I'm just not very good at reading names. Wee. Boom, boom. A boom. A boom. A boom. Oh, it's a 0-point fish.
Good luck, eh? Joke's love again.
Ooh, a
We have
purple
commands
bowl.
here on this stream too.
Ooh, a purple
Commands for
task.
the list.
May the best man win. Yeah. We smile at me. If life works out that way, we would be in this group.
Ooh, we just got a full loadout of purple.
The starting gun went
Good
off.
job, game.
Murderous lemmings, the crowd, racers.
Yo, my boy Justin here, he's cracked at Fortnite.
Down the track when already I had to jump over
You know? It's always Justin's.
was coming my way. I've seen the race enough times to know how it begins.
Boom. Boom.
Small wins,
0 point.
a rush of bullets.
Just one more flops.
The thrill of the chance to kill. A good number of people go down. For them, the race is over before it even begins. Ambulances and cleanup crews stood nearby, ready to pick up the pieces once the rubbish was over. My plan was simple. Stick to the back of the package. Let the lead runners pick each other off. Maintain a good pace, and as the finish line drew closer, I'd make my move. Whatever that move needed to be. In the week leading up to the race,
Just popping off in solos, cause it's mad. Bye. Nice talking to you.
If it was for my mother, for my
Have a good day, mate.
could I kill another human being? What if it was just me and one other person
Whoa.
throwing in on the finish line? Would I be able
Aw,
to take
I
that
want to snipe
life
him.
into my own hands in order to save my mothers? Honestly, I didn't know. I wanted to believe that I couldn't, but who really knows what dark,
Hey, if you
horrible
wanna
acts a
support
person
me, you can donate to me using Cash App. My Cash App is URL or PayPal me paypal.com and it'll.
close. It was Joe. He kept a steady pace beside me as we followed the violent stampede up the mountain. Continued to drop like flies.
Give me that.
I jumped over him, skull crushed in. A bloody rock.
Timmy. Chill.
Discarded like he was. That's why you never started. Few spectators line the mountain road. Most of them will be waiting near the finish line, where all the real action was. I cared about the significant fans who died early on. It was the furious people near the finish line that people camped out for days.
not-
for their sport.
Oh no.
That
Oh, I fell through the hole.
blood. Not just any blood, but the kind of blood that could only be spilled by those on the verge of having the biggest wish granted. Or about to have it taken away. So your parents agreed to you doing this. I asked Joe as he reached the top of the mountain. He gave us a view of the race ahead. There were probably 20, maybe 30 runners ahead of us. A few bodies lay by the side of the road. Not the biggest
I don't like that man. He just hides on the side of mountains and shoots me.
was
It's
about
very
300
scary.
meters down the road. A physically imposing man with something large in his hand. Probably the rock that had taken down as if he the bloody bodies lying nearby. They don't know that I'm here, Joe replied, leaping over a hand, grasping for his ankle. They don't know. No, Joe smiled as though it was all.
For details on how to get in type.
Well, they probably
Opens creative.
Are you crazy? Maybe. Did you ask your mother first? Well, not in so many words. No. It was
I hate this kid.
raised to her once. Never specifically said I was taking her. But I think she knew deep down that was why I brought it up anyway. She never did. That was permission enough. Look out! Joe grabbed my shirt. Something whizzed by my head and landed by the side of the road. A knife!
You're gonna finally push me.
Marked mountain grapevine.
Thank you. Wait, no, you're good.
Found on the way.
Stop being good.
Coming down the
Stop it!
track behind us,
Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Stop being good. Stop it.
she
How?
turned to us and smiled. taser drew my attention from the site before. One of
Oh
the
my
few
goodness, dude.
A man enragedly spoke into his mic before the body was dragged off. Joe and I looked at one another and started running again.
Just chill the hell out.
Hey, you've got some blood on your...
Booga, chill.
My face. His hand was shaking. I just kept running. It was all I could do. We reached the river. By now, maybe 10 people were in front of us. We'd reached a part of the race where most of the runners were spaced out enough just to keep running. Other than the sound of our breathing, our feet hitting the dirt, everything was quiet. I was okay with that. Quiet was nice. The sight of that woman's head exploding haunted me. She broke the rules. She picked up a weapon, tossed onto the track by a spectator. Everyone knew what happened when you broke the rules. But I couldn't get the image out of my head. It was like a head just exploded. Blood and bone showered in every direction. I don't know if I can do it. I muttered. Do what? Joe's feet continued to hit the ground in sync with my own. Kill a person. I don't think I can do it. You don't have to kill anyone to win the race. Stop thinking about it. I know, but you saw that guy up there. You think he's just gonna let us peacefully pass and take the first place? Probably not, no. A scream sounded ahead of us. Another competitive man. What are you gonna do with the blood? I asked. Joe didn't seem to
I just need to... I lost this kid, lost. Oh my god, dude. I hope to kill him, please. Kill him. That's just... I thought he was good at video games, okay? I don't want to... Dude, no, I should have just stayed in my box. I got greedy. I could have just camped. But look at all this loot he has. I and I waited for. I shot the guy one time. I'm another guy. Well, I'm not even sure I knew where I was.
We're about to lose the house too, Joe said after a few months. We have nowhere else to go. I don't know what to do. Even if I get another part-time job, another 5 part-time jobs, it wouldn't help. This is our last chance. No one can do this but me. Joe hit the ground in front of me, sending me tumbling over the top of him. Boo-hoo, what a sad story. Let's all have a pity party about it. One of the runners was standing above us with a large, thick tree branch in hand. He must have been hiding behind one of the trees. I turned over and saw a body lying in the river. That must have been the scream we heard. A branch connected with my torso and pain exploded throughout my side. Another strike, this time to my shoulder. His aim was getting higher. Another hit and Joe's foot connected with the man's jaw and sent him flying. Joe scrambled for the branch before the man caught his bearings, and before he knew what was happening, it was all over. Joe battered his face in. Over and over the branch came down till there was nothing but a pulpy, bloody mess in the mud. Joe stood up and turned to me. His face and upper body were almost entirely red. I opened my mouth a few times, but Joe just dropped the stick and held out a hand. Come on. We're not winning this race sitting around here. I swallowed my words.
Dude.
And looked at his bloody hand, still in shock. He'd just murdered a man right in front of him. He was about to kill us, sure, but I'd known Joe since we were 5 years old. We grew up together. He was always so sweet and kind to everyone. The Joker who never took anything to heart. They're getting ahead. Come on. They're getting further ahead of us. I shook my head and took his hand. It was sticky. Yeah, right. Sorry. Come on, let's go. I took one last look at the body and started running again. The longer I ran with Joe, the more I realized that things were going to get very complicated. Only one person could win. It may not be either of us, but if it came down to it, what would we do? I needed that heart transplant for my mother. He needed that money for his family to survive. It wasn't like either of us could just give up the other one. We neared the school. There were a few more spectators here. We were closing in on the end. Do you hear that? Hear what? Listen. There was a fight up ahead. It was the big guy who'd been in the lead. A woman and two men were circling him, his brow cut and dripping blood into his eye. One of the men, tall and skinny, had something small and sharp in his hand. The woman was swinging a chain she'd probably lifted from the trash cans. Joe put a hand across my chest and brought a finger to his lips. He pointed through the middle of the school. Leave them be. If we go this way, we can avoid them. It's a bit longer, but... Hey, the big guy saw us and called out. Oh, shit. You go deal with them, the tall man said. The smaller one started running towards us. He had a baseball bat in hand. It appeared to be wrapped in something sharp. Barbed wire. Where did he manage to steal that from? Run! Joe and I took off at full speed. I was tired. The run itself was wearing me down, but the rise and fall of adrenaline was taking its toll on me as well. I didn't know how much longer I could keep doing this. My legs burned like molten lava, and my chest heaved like it was going to explode. Ah! Joe fell to the ground once more. The back of his head was bleeding. The man had thrown the baseball bat at him and was quickly closing in. I picked it up. It was Rose. As the man got closer, I swung with all my might. The sound of his jaw cracking was a sound I'd remember for a long time. Joe had saved me before. Now we were even. Are you okay? Yeah. I think so. I'm just bleeding. Come on, let's keep moving. I held out a hand and helped Joe back to his feet. He was a little wobbly, but we pressed on before the others could follow. Once we clear the school, we'll be in first place. There's only 500 meters between here and the finish line. We'll make it. Joe smiled, but more and more blood was pouring from the back of his head. Are you sure you're okay? Stop asking me and keep running. We cleared the school gate when we heard it. It was an almost inhuman growl. I turned. It was the big guy, covered in blood. He was holding the woman's chain in one hand and what looked like a steel pole in the other. He hurled it towards us and was moving before it even hit the ground. The finish line was straight ahead, the park at the end of the street. Spectators lined the road and wild cheers went up. It would appear we were the final three, and the last leg was about to begin. The crowd wanted blood. They always wanted blood. It was only another 500 meters, I kept thinking to myself. Just keep moving. Nothing else matters. Just keep moving. You can't touch it once you pass the finish line. Nothing else in the world matters but being the first to cross that line. Then everything would be okay. My legs pumped across the hard asphalt. It was awkward running with the bat, but I refused to let it go. Joe was not far behind me. I couldn't turn to look. It would be precious, wasted time. "He's gaining!" Joe screamed. "So run faster." It was all I could get out. My entire body and mind were focused on moving forward and nothing else. 400 meters. Already I was slowing down. I could feel it. I couldn't keep up this pace much longer. Not anymore. The cheers of the crowd were drowned out by my heartbeat throbbing in my head and chest and throat. 300 meters. Joe caught up to me. The cut on his head was still bleeding a scary amount of blood, but it didn't appear to be holding him back. Sweat poured down the side of his face, mingling with the dried, caked-on blood. His face was sickly pale, but he didn't say a word. We just kept running. 200 meters. I could hear the footsteps behind us. He was closing in. I could almost feel his breath on my neck. I could hear the chain hitting the ground as he ran. For such a big guy, he sure had some stamina. The finish line was in sight. People were standing up and cheering, urging us on. Not to win, but to fight. Blood. They wanted more blood. 100 meters. I tasted asphalt. So close, yet so far. I don't remember exactly what sound I made as my face plunged into the ground at full speed, but I'm sure it wasn't dignified. The baseball bat flew out of my hand and clattered nearby. Ah, this is it, I thought. It's all over. I'm a dead man, and right before the finish line. How fitting. I'm sorry, Mom. I tried. A huge weight suddenly pressed down on my back. An almost maniacal laugh sounded near my ear. The crowd grew even louder. I didn't have to turn around to know who it was. I braced myself for another impact. The last one of my life, no doubt. Just what the audience wanted. A grand finale. The impact never came. There was a thud, followed by cursing. I turned to see Joe kicking the man in the face again. The finish line was right there. And yet, here he was, helping me out once more. The big guy's face turned murderous.
Oh my
He swung the
god!
shit. He could get out of the way. You little shit better keep me away from my prize. Think again. Pain exploded through my head once more as his fist connected with my cheek. He grabbed Joe and yanked him up by his t-shirt, delivering a swift punch to his jaw as well.
Hey, let's go. I'm in a public game in invisible max height. So 1v1 situation, I am on an invisible build right now. Alright, what's up guys? Welcome back. In today's video, I'm going to be trying to learn floating edits. Because as most of you know, I do play on about 60.
iOS 14 reinvented custom icons for apps the same way the iPhone 12 reinvented the iPhone. That is to say, the same way 90% of you have yet to reinvent the subscribe button. Yes, you could technically change icons since like 2013 on other systems, but with iOS 14, Apple actually managed to make it with their signature minimalist approach, where you have to download an extra app which opens every single time you use a custom icon. In this episode, I'm going to take my shot at redesigning some more of these apps, take a quick look at last video's comments, and I know a way to bypass the Shortcuts app, so you better stick around. For starters, I'm going to pick another system app just to get warmed up. There's a lot of options to choose from, but I think the Photos app would look cool. The color things in the center kind of look like glass, and that would be pretty easy to make in 3D. As always, I start by downloading a reference image, pulling it into Blender, and bringing in the background model I made in the last episode. It's actually even lazier than that. I don't even make a new file, I just use the original one and then save it as something else. After changing the material of the background to a white color, it's time to get started on the glass pieces. For this part of the model, I used a cube with a loop cut down the middle, so it's easy to bevel the corners and make that rounded shape. It's always important to use as little geometry as necessary, so I used edge dissolve to remove the loop in the center once I was done. Obviously, I didn't want to have to make this over and over again, so I used the spin duplicates tool to create all of them at once. This tool spins and duplicates objects around the 3D cursor, so in this case, I had to snap it to the center of the world with Shift S. Next, I had to offset them from each other because it looked really weird for them to overlap like this. You can select individual connected pieces of mesh L, so I used that, and then offset them in groups of 2, otherwise it can give some really dumb looking results. It would obviously be inconvenient to make a new glass material for each color, so I just made one which I assigned to all of the objects. The way it works is by assigning each glass object an identification number, and then using that number to place that object's color along this color gradient with which I sampled the colors on this reference image. That way we only need one material, and it's easy to edit the individual colors all in one spot. From this point onward, it was a process of testing different light situations and setups, as lighting glass in an isolated situation like this is not always as easy as regular matte surfaces. I clearly kept trying lazy workarounds like HDRIs and studio light setups, but in the end, it turned out to just be better for everyone to just put a big light in front of it. I also experimented with adding some slight roughness texture to the background object, although I was unsure of how this would look at a smaller scale. You can make any surface have a bumpy look by plugging in the texture to a bump node and plugging that into a normal input. It looks pretty good in the render, I think, but in the context of an app icon, those details can become kind of muddled and gross. For a final touch, I ended up beveling the boundary edges of the glass pieces, which gave them a really cool look and way more realistic than the flat 90-degree edges. Finally, I made sure the color transform was on standard and the contrast was high, as this tends to make icons stand out more. This time, I even ended up flattening the background itself to reduce the shadows around the edge. There's definitely a reason icons went 2D, but when used tastefully, 3D looks really cool. So here's my Photos icon in shortcut form. I think it fits in well because it's not too Windows 98, but you can also tell that this is a physical glass material, which is pretty cool. It makes a big difference. While testing this icon, I was reminded of how inconvenient it is to have the Shortcuts app open every single time you use a custom icon. For a lot of people, this pretty much ruins the entire concept of custom icons and makes the whole process not really work. Thankfully, just as I was losing hope, one of you guys swooped in and handled the situation with a comment. I honestly don't know how you guys...
Okay, that was a dirty one.
And there is,
I feel
kind
kinda bad there.
Shortcuts. Before I tell you though, you're gonna need a pen and paper because this has a lot of steps.
But
First,
to be fair, I almost got
Shortcuts,
third
allow
party and could
untrusted
deal with it.
shortcuts. Go to this website, scan this QR code, click Get Shortcut, wait till it downloads, click the shortcut, choose your app. You can either do this with the App Store or for system apps like Photos or Settings. Choose your custom icon file either from Files or Camera Roll. This doesn't need to be a special format or anything. Give the shortcut a label which shows underneath, so you can have like a homework folder for your phone, but it's actually just a link to the Bible. Click Done, click Allow, click Close, click here, click Install, put in your passcode, install, done, and now it's on your home page. Yeah, that wasn't worth it at all. Look, Apple, if someone figured out how to do this, okay, with your own app, couldn't you just let people change their icons? I mean, iOS 27 is going to be like, you can now change your icons, and everyone's going to be like, alright, whatever, dude. Time for the next icon. There's so many to choose from, but for this one, I'm going to do Spotify. A lot of people seem to want this one, and I might as well. You see, Spotify reinvented music listening the same way Apple Music reinvented Spotify. Wait, no. You all know the drill at this point. Start with a background mesh, grab a reference image. I'll probably start with like a cylinder for the circle part. Might mess around and bevel it, I don't know. Make it green. Nothing complex so far. Next is the audio wave things, and I think I'm going to take a bit of a unique approach.
Boom!
There's a modifier called the curve modifier, which allows you to deform objects around a separate curve object, which makes them a lot easier to adjust, since you just have to work with these two Bezier handles. I created a sphere, elongated it, throw in a little geometry, and with the curve modifier, the sky's the limit as to what kind of elongated shapes we can make. Then I just duplicate it and position the copies based on the reference image. Now all we gotta do is add some personal touch to it. It could be anything really. I've seen Rainbow Spotify, I've seen Anime Spotify, Drake Spotify, Galaxy Spotify, Apple Spotify. I think I'm just gonna make whatever comes to mind, you know, something I can really identify with and relate to. Oh, that actually makes me sad. Actually, I'm just gonna make the background gold, give it some of that metal pan aesthetic. You know what I'm saying? It's actually called disc jockey. You have to use a tangent node to be plugged in. Hey Daniel, hey, wait, do you hear that? Daniel. Is that just me?
User, we're gonna need you to read the comments. We're gonna need some money.
Whatever gets top comment on this video, I will be redesigning on Friday. I don't care what it is. I'm immensely worried about this. Please don't get me in trouble. 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 4,420. That's like a whole percentage of Wyoming. Imagine being good, trying not to get the drama numbers like. Wait a minute. Oh, this says corn. Oh, corn on the cob, baby. That's how we like it. You know what I'm saying? This is a funny logo. Look at this. I might as well put a big old corn right in the middle. That's what I call a good logo. Something Kanye West would be proud to put on his merchandise. Stop right there. I want to pay some of you for being active and making it to the end of this video. I'm starting a second channel for tutorials and premiering the first video on this date. I'm giving away this many prizes to random people who attend the premiere. I'm reserving half of them for people who use this code, aka you, for watching this video. So go subscribe right now to make sure you don't miss that, and for what it's worth, subscribe anyways. It's basically going to be double the content, and it would mean the world to me. Go and have yourself an excellent week. Take it easy, everybody.
Meeting people in person is scary. I will do absolutely anything I possibly can to avoid it, and that is why today I want to develop a wireless messaging system in Minecraft, so that I never have to see my friends again. Instead, I can just send messages wirelessly, making use of the new skulk sensors. This is my little skulk sensor testing world, and in a previous Redstone video, I discovered this little wireless messaging system, so not only can we send messages in one direction, that's pretty simple, but also this second one underneath
Hello?
allows us to send messages back.
You started with your win?
What? What?
At school, you started with her?
Oh, I'm confused.
You started with your win? You probably started, but didn't even know what she was.
I don't know how to interact with people. What do you mean?
Essentially you have a two-way signal sending highway here, which will allow us to pass redstone signals back and forth through the sky, which I think we can all agree is pretty cool. But with this setup right here, we are literally just sending a redstone signal. That's it. Nothing else happens. I thought it would be interesting if we could add an encoder that then sends a series of pulses down this line, and then we have a decoder at the other end that decodes those pulses into the message that we want to send. That sounds a lot more complicated than it actually is, but it is still quite complicated. Now originally I thought it would be good to just send letters so you could spell out the words and sentences that you want to write, but that would be so slow, like so incredibly slow. So instead, I think we should send words and phrases. So these are the words and phrases I've got worked out. So we start off with
What?
yes, no, how are you, I'm good, I'm not so good really. Now this one's kind of an interesting one, the general compliment, essentially, because we can't have all the compliments in our messaging system, we just send a general compliment. They just know that they've been complimented. They don't know how they've been complimented.
What?
Next we've got a couple of general
Can you just like get the fuck out, dude? Like you're just coming in here being annoying. You do this every single fucking time.
So I have something for you, and then can I borrow something? And then of course the last few pages are dedicated to just going all out psycho. You know, demanding why people aren't answering you. I thought you were my friend. And then, of course, the inevitable apology. I'd say we've covered all the bases there. And, of course, the absolute beauty of the lectern is we can actually take a redstone output from this thing, and the redstone output will be different depending on what page of the lectern we are currently on. So, for example, if we're on the last page, then that will give out a maximum signal strength. And I'm going to make use of that to set the number of pulses that we're going to send down this line. So, for example, if we're on page 15, then that means that 15 pulses are going to be sent from our end of the circuit to the other person's end of the circuit, and then their end of the circuit is going to do something weird to decode that signal into an actually readable message. Now I've come up with a way to do this end of the bargain that I think is going to be actually remarkably simple.
Like, it could be really, really easy, and there's a chance that the other end could be really, really easy as well, which would be quite
God,
nice. But with that being
just
said, of course,
die.
famous last words. I've said that things are going to be easy many times in the past, and I've been burnt many times in the past. But that being said, here is my grand master plan. So, as you can see, some of these pistons are extended, some
Thank
aren't extended. That's
you.
because of the page number that we're
Is
on.
it that hard just to
And
die?
the page number that we're on in the book corresponds to the number of droppers that are currently open to accepting power. And when we hit this button right here, only those droppers will get powered. These droppers aren't getting powered because the blocks have been moved out the way from in front of them. So that means, say for example, we're on page number 8, then that means that 8 items are going to be shot into this hopper line right here, and they're going to make their way across into a chest that is going to be at the end. However, they're not all going to make their way into it at once. They're going to get locked up in one of the hoppers that is going to slow the travelling of the items from the hopper line into the chest. Now the reason that we have to slow this down is first off so that we actually get a set of pulses instead of just one long signal, but also if I send a bunch of pulses through here, you can see that the skulk sensors are actually incredibly slow, so they can't really take too many pulses in a short space of time. Are you still with me? I really hope you're still with me. I also really hope that this little redstone clock right here is actually slow enough for our little skulk sensor, and I'm hoping that everything should now work when I press this button. So here we have 8 of the pistons down. We are on page number 8, which is great, and I'm about to send the message, do you want to go mining? And we should see 8 pulses going through this end redstone lamp. Alright, are we ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is a little bit dull. I will 6, 7, 8. And there should be no more. And there is no more. So that's all worked. And that redstone clock seems to have the absolute perfect delay to allow for the maximum speed of sending of signals. I know it seems slow, but that's as fast as we can possibly go. So that's the sending of messages all worked out. Now it's time for the decoding of messages. We now need to translate that set of pulses into something that is actually readable by the player at the other end. Is that 15 redstone lamps? I haven't counted this, I'm just eyeballing it. Now the way that we're going to do this is making use of a really simple redstone counter. So this thing is just going to count the number of redstone pulses that come in. So for example, if it's 8 pulses, then the 8th redstone lamp will turn on, obviously reading left to right. So this one, or around about here, will turn on, and that will have a sign on it that will tell you what the message was that came through the system. It's actually quite simple, it's just it all doesn't sound simple, it all sounds complicated. I'm trying my best, alright? Trust me, it's easy. Except there is one other thing that we do have to worry about. Say for example, I sent you a message earlier in the day, and then you haven't responded to me, so naturally I send you a message screaming, why aren't you responding to me? The issue is the counter will then take the position from where the first message was. So say for example, the message was here, and then the next message came in, it wouldn't count from 0, it would count from there, and that would just completely butcher things, and you might say things that you didn't want to say. So we need to create a redstone circuit that can recognise when a new message is coming in, and it's not just more pulses from the same message, and then reset the counter. I haven't quite worked out how I'm going to do that just yet. Well, stage 1 is to make a resettable counter, and I'm going to be honest, it has been absolutely ages since I've built anything like this, so I was a tiny bit lost, but I have managed to come up with something. So if we hit this left button, then that counts along, and then the right hand button actually resets the system. So if I just make my way through here, you can see we do that, and then when I hit this button here, everything resets and everything is working properly. And now I think I have the differentiation between new messages and current messages all worked out as well. I'm going to try my best to explain it. So we have 2 circuits going on. We've got this pulse extender, which runs into a monostable circuit, which then activates the reset part of the counter. And then we have this long delay right here, which then runs into the input part of our counter. So when an input comes in here, we'll start counting a lot. So when a message comes into the system, the first thing that will happen is this pulse extender will be activated, which will then activate the reset part of our counter. Then after a certain amount of delay, to make sure that the reset is fully complete before we start counting new things, that input over here will run into there and we'll get our first thing counted. Now the smart part of this system is the pulse extender, because what this pulse extender is essentially doing is making sure that if the time between pulses coming into the system is too long, then it will reset the counter before we start getting new input. So,
A guy behind me! Now he's just gonna hide and
that
say
means the counter isn't going to reset by
I'm so evil. You're a coward. You just watched me do. Why is this my life? Why? Yeah, you did super ball.
I hope it does. I think it does. But I guess that's enough of the theory.
This game is so unfun
building the
right
entire
now.
system a second time and then creating the communication between the two. Which I have now done. We've got our information sending highway that is travelling between our two machines. This is the second machine.
God,
this is
I
the first
have
machine.
so
I'm going
much
to send messages from this
fun
machine
in
to
this
that machine
game.
and hope, really hope that they actually get deciphered. So here goes. Let's start off with just something really simple. I'm going to ask machine number 2, let's call him Barry. I'm going to ask Barry how he is. How are you, Barry? Right, so I've hit that button, and that should begin the process of sending this message across. So we should start seeing, yeah, there it is. There is our message being sent through the sky. Or at least part of the message.
I'm resetting.
There is the second part. And I guess there is the third part.
I build reset, but whatever.
Not a very good show, and I'd give it a 4 out of 10. Legends of Tomorrow had a very disappointing start in Season 1, to say the least. I think it could have been a pretty great season because it had a lot of great things about it, like most of the characters are really great.
the effects of the fight scenes and the concept of the show is very interesting, but the three characters of Hawkgirl, Hawkman, and Vandal Savage ruined the season. Vandal Savage is a really bad villain. Hawkgirl is a really bad character, and although Hawkman didn't appear that much, he also is a very bad character. These three characters, the fact that they are all connected, the season-long storyline that they are part of, and the fact that the season focused so much on them, ruined what could have been a pretty good season. So I'd give this a 5 out of 10.
Show yourself, because I'm a nasty piece of work.
You will not escape.
Bureau needs the legends now more than ever.
We're a team of outcasts and misfits. You're one of us.
Legends of Tomorrow got a lot better after Season 1, but kind of jumped the shark in Season 4. The magical creatures are stupid, the cast is way too full of original characters and not nearly enough DC characters, which admittedly is only a bad thing if the DC characters are what you're here for, which in my case, the only reason I ever started watching Legends of Tomorrow is because it's a part of the Arrowverse, which is in turn an adaptation of the DC universe, so the only reason I'm watching these shows is for the DC characters. So when I watch Legends of Tomorrow Season 4, and there's barely any DC characters, and the ones that they have don't even look like them because they don't wear their costumes or use their powers, this season just didn't turn out to be a good one. It's also not as funny as it's clearly trying to be, and there are a lot of characters like Mona who are so annoying. The only saving grace of the season is Constantine, but he's not enough to carry a show, including this one. So I'd give this season a 6 out of 10, because I did enjoy some parts of it, but for the most part I didn't really like it.
We're moving back to Gotham.
Doesn't bother you that I got top credit on this one, does it?
Season 2 is a bit better than Season 1, mostly because it introduces, although pretty briefly, my favorite live-action version of Superman, who appears in 3 episodes, and he is pretty awesome in these episodes. I really like him a lot, and I think that he makes this season a lot better, in spite of the fact that he barely appears in it. Everything else, like the acting, the writing, effects, and fight scenes, are only just a little bit better than Season 1, but I think those things, the fact that they're just a little bit better, and the fact that Superman is there, as well as some of the things that I did like, I do think that this season is a huge improvement over the first, and I'd give it a 6.5 out of 10.
To kill someone the world already thinks is dead.
You have failed this city.
Our Season 3 was not a great follow-up to Season 2. The season-long storyline and everything to do with Malcolm's plan and why Ra's al Ghul is the villain is so stupid, and as a villain, Ra's al Ghul is very disappointing and kind of misplaced as a Batman villain on a Green Arrow TV show. There's also a lot more realisticity than there needs to be. That being said, there are definitely some awesome fight scenes, and I would say it's pretty enjoyable for the most part, so I give it a 7 out of 10.
I use a tag, I feel like a bag, as it does what you can. If you use a charge, it feels like garbage, but you got away. Just a still hit for 30, you're saving me. For a full charge blast, what is the point of waiting?
Supergirl was the first season that I thought that they kind of put a little bit of effort
Just hit for
into the
70.
actual season. They had a clear and actually pretty great main villain from the start with Reign, and the Legion of Superheroes were a very welcome and pretty awesome addition to this show. For the most part, this is definitely a lot better than the first 2 seasons. That being said, the season kind of fell apart and was worse than ever near the ending with the reintroduction of, I think her name is Selena, as well as the Argo storyline, and that gun control episode is definitely a lot worse than the first 2 seasons, but for the most part, this is definitely a much better season than the first 2, and it actually has a lot of great things about it, so I'd give it a 7.2 out of 10.
What's happening to me? Decide. Your original life will fade away. You won't even remember that you're the Flash.
The Flash Season 3 is maybe the most disappointing season of the Arrowverse because of the underwhelming and so short Flashpoint storyline. The season outside of the Flashpoint storyline is not great, but it definitely is pretty good. I do like the season-long
get bored
storyline. I
streaming.
do kind of like the villain outside of the